Many Americans believe that the United States remains the perfect standard for quality food. However, all you need to do is get closer to the food industry to find out that they've got it all wrong. Many American food companies are known for their unsanitary practices in mass production, especially their generosity in adding dangerous chemicals to their processed foods. With all of this, you can't exactly blame other countries for being very conservative about importing foods labeled USDA approved. And so, in today's video, we will be looking at American foods that are banned in other countries. Be sure to grab a snack and get comfortable as we discuss this long list of banned foods. Are you ready? Let's get into it. 1. Chicken. When it comes to hygiene in many food companies, the best you get is soaking stuff in a chlorine bath and giving it the FDA approval stamp. And when we say stuff, chicken is at the top of that list. If you've never heard about PRTs or pathogen reduction treatments, oh brother, there's a lot we can tell you. This process is the use of different chemicals to destroy harmful microbes in raw meat. Somehow, the food regulators in America came together and agreed that a simple chlorine shock was all that was needed to kill bacteria on raw poultry. Now, truth be told, it's been seen that chlorine poses a very low risk to human life. So, honestly, chlorine baths are the very least of America's problems. What the EU is more concerned about is the fact that these PRTs are not enough to eradicate many of the more dangerous bacteria. They also do not fix the problem of possible contamination from unsanitary coops on farms or even low-quality feed. According to the EU, chlorine is merely makeshift as no simple chemical rinse will be able to remove the bacteria caused by poor hygiene. Hence, American chicken is banned in the continent. 2. Pork. Turns out chicken isn't the only American meat that isn't allowed in the EU. Pork is too, and it's interesting because this is one meat with the most range and consumption rate. From hot dogs to bacon, to ham, and pork chops, it's been recorded that Americans eat about 67 pounds per person every year. Now this doesn't mean that no other countries participate in devouring pigs. Some consume pork at a much higher rate than Americans. However, when it comes to export, Americans can't boast of scores, and here's why. American food companies put in a lot of chemicals when processing their pork, and one of those chemicals is ractopamine. Ractopamine is used to speed up the animal's metabolism during their last weeks of living and is also used to make the pig larger or leaner for several reasons. Unfortunately, this chemical that America deems fit to be used on these animals has been banned in about 160 countries, all of which have labeled ractopamine dangerous for human consumption. And so you would understand the mass banning of pork exportation across the world. The EU placed a ban on this chemical since the year 2009. While other countries like China and Russia have not made use of ractopamine since banning it in 2013. Most believe that this is because ractopamine has a similar effect as intoxicants on human beings, hence resulting in tachycardia, muscle spasms, and headaches if taken in large quantities. But just like many other things in America, all of this is overlooked for the sizzling pleasure of a porky meal. 3. Steak. Who doesn't love a good old steak? I'll tell you who. Canada. That felt a lot closer than you expected, didn't it? Well, it's as bad as signing an affidavit that you aren't smuggling steak tartare in your trunk. It's great that America got over the veal and pate pandemic when it did, but compared to the tartare seems to be a bigger problem. While the veal and pate were always served hot, the tartare is usually chopped up and served straight from the cow. Sadly, the American food industry has failed to understand that undercooked or raw food is highly responsible for food poisoning and several parasitic infections. But thankfully, several other countries have looked past the fanciness of the tartare and put their foot down. They may have let it slide for a while, but the good thing is that they accepted their wrongs and stood their ground. In countries like Canada, meat must reach an internal temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit before it can be considered safe to eat. And by 2021, these rules became strictly enforced to the point where restaurant owners in New Brunswick that sold tartare were served cease and desist letters. I guess the Canadian government figured her citizens didn't need an endemic of botulism added to the COVID-19 pandemic. And you've got to respect that. 4. Bread. The luxury of sliced bread in America is one that the EU has refused to be a part of. Not because they don't think sandwiches are amazing, but because America doesn't have the best production system. In America, bread is made not only with grain but also with huge amounts of additives. Some of these include azotocarbonamide, which is used to bleach flour and also strengthen the dough. An interesting fact you must know about this chemical is that it is also used in making several industrial products like yoga mats. And seeing as no one wants to eat something that could be used to make exercise equipment, the EU banned it. 5. Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew may be a refreshing drink in America and some other countries. But Austria and Norway have outrightly refused to partake in it. And this is simply because Mountain Dew's popular cornmeal hue is obtained from tartrazine, which is a chemical also called yellow. 5. Over time, this chemical has been associated with hyperactivity, headaches, and the strange desire to get on nerves. And the reason why many other countries have chosen not to partake of this drink is the exact lifestyle it promotes. A bold brand, if you asked me. But this doesn't mean that there aren't parts of Europe where you'll find Mountain Dew. Their version just won't hit the same way, as you'll be getting Mountain Dew made with a recipe that's more like the original carbonated drink from the 1940s. By the way, fun fact, the original drink was created as a whiskey mixer and got its name from the Scottish term for moonshine. 6. Coca-Cola. At this point, no one can say that they are unaware of the dangers of this drink. But just like pork, we are all willing to ignore all of that just for pleasure. The drink was invented by a pharmacist in 1886 and, in no time, spread across the globe. It was so perfect that it brought enemies together during World War II. Pre-pandemic, Coca-Cola became the best-selling soft drink in the world, with 500 brands across 200 countries. However, some countries just said no to it, but no for health issues like with the other foods on our list. These countries placed the ban because of what the brand represents: the encroachment of American capitalism. In the US, sales of Coke to Burma were banned from 1962 to 2011 as a part of the sanctions against the military junta that ruled the country till 2011. And it was only in 2012 that sales resumed. Today we have this brand unavailable in only 2 countries, North Korea since 1950 and in Cuba, since supplies were seized in 1962 by Fidel Castro. Think that Cuba was part of the first bottlers of Coke outside America. But now Coke has been successfully replaced by Cuba Cola. This hasn't stopped the black market sales from rolling in, though. 7. M&M's. The amazing snack started as a collaboration between Mars and Hershey's in the early 1940s. And just like Coca-Cola, M&M was the people's delight internationally during World War II. The chocolate was promoted by American soldiers as the one that won't mess with your trigger finger. However, there's one country that shut its doors to the goodness of M&M's and continues to do that: Sweden. Why? You might ask. Well, just like Coke, this has nothing to do with health concerns. The reason is more interesting than that. In Sweden, M&M's was banned due to a trademark conflict with a popular national candy that also uses the lowercase m for its branding. When M&M's was introduced to Sweden in 2009, a court ruled that it was too similar to the marketing of the Norwegian Marabou. Apparently, during World War I, Marabou took its manufacturing to Sweden, for which it received a royal warrant of appointment by the King of Sweden. The good thing, though, is that our good old M&M's hard-shelled chocolate is clear of any harmful diets or chlorine residue, and so they are safe for everyone. And with that, we have come to the end of this video. Be sure to let us know which of these foods shocked you the most in the comments below. Also, do well to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. See you in the next video.